Hey, good morning, Tyler. This is a quick demo video for you for your One Replicas SSOB or Super Stunt Obi-Wan. This is install the CFX that you wanted. It is a one-button setup. So your one switch that controls everything is going to be this red switch right here. All right. This gold switch, or this gold greebly rather, is what we're going to use for a chassis retention. So I'll show you how to use that. You've got a V4 CCS Neopixel connector. And how to get to the chassis is you want to do a few things. All right. First, you want to come over here. We're going to loosen this gold greebly a little bit. You don't have to take it all the way out, but just a few turns. You're also going to want to come over here and do a few turns on your red switch. Loosen it up a little bit. And then take your pummel off. All right, so we'll unscrew our pummel all the way. When you get that off, you'll see this right here, right? It doesn't look like there's a speaker, but we'll talk about that here in a second. Just come from the emitter side. Yeah, from the emitter side and push it a little bit and it'll slide right out. All right, so I kind of made this chassis, I focused on it being just very durable for heavy dueling and spinning around and stuff. That's typically why people buy these Super Stunt Sabers. All right, so this is very tough. Your CFX board right there, you have easy access to your SD card. So everything will need to be done from the SD card. You can pop it in and out with your finger like that, no problem. Coming over here, you have a removable battery setup. Now this Saber has a fully enclosed 22mm Smuggler's Outpost Nano Elite speaker, but the reason I put a cap on the back of it is because the back of the pummel doesn't have any sound venting. All right, you can see it's just a flat surface. So this is meant to push right up against the pummel. You will notice these grooves right here for sound venting. They match the grooves that were machined on this piece for sound venting. All right, it matches that when it's lined up with the switch. Now I'll show you that, how to line that up. All right, but moving over here, you have that single switch we were talking about. So just a small tactile switch with your curl chin PCB right here. All right, so I got all the fonts on here this morning that you sent me last night. So you have, there's 3 of them, but they ended up being 4. So the peace and the violence sound font, that's actually 2. You have a peace and a violence. Okay, you've got the TLJ Graphics, but you asked me for the throne room version, so that's what's on here. And then you also have the sabered hand. So that's on here as well. All right, and those are the first 4 fonts on your card. And then after that, it's the stock font package. I just left that on there for you. But remember, when you put a battery in, please, spring side over here for the negative side of your battery. So we'll throw a battery in. It clips in nice and tough. All right, now when you're putting this in, there's nothing to clock the chassis. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got your switch right here lined up with your red button. Very easy to do because everything, like the top of the chassis and the switch and everything, is lined up with the button. So when we're putting it in here, it slides right in. And then you'll also notice that your sound venting lines up. All right. Now, when you've got this all the way in, you want it in until that end cap is sticking out. So all of the chassis is actually inside of the Saber, but that little end cap I put on your chassis is sticking out. At that point, you can go ahead and come over here and tighten down your gold greebly. That's your chassis retention. You can tighten down your red switch. And for one more visual cue why I put this, this is Smuggler's Outpost emblem on here. Why I put this on here as well is because when this emblem is straight up, it's straight up with the switch. All right, so that's, you can see it from back here. There you go. That's a little bit better. I am having some camera issues, but the emblem is facing up and it rides all the way up to the switch. All right, so now you know, we got power, right? So once we've got all that locked down, we can come over here. If you look in here, it may be a little bit hard to see on camera, but your holes in the chassis line up with your sound venting on the actual Saber. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can lock this in. You're going to tighten this down. When you tighten this down, it butts up against the chassis. A little added piece for the chassis not to go anywhere, but really this is your chassis retention. All right, then we can hit power. So this one is green. Because it's a one button, you can just tap it, right? And we hold it to turn it off. And we'll put a blade in here real quick. This takes a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade. So this is my test blade, but you are set up for a full-length blade. All right, and you'll have to use your blade retention screw. So you've got a single blade retention screw right here. Right there, all right? Turn the slide off. You got some good flash on clash. On a one button setup to get blade lock up, what you want to do is you want to hold it down and hit the saber real quick. It gives you your blade lock up right here. And we can hold it down and turn it off. Right. Now, if you want to switch colors of the blade on a one button setup, hold down this switch and twist the saber. You go to anything you like. All right, now to go to the next sound font, what we'll want to do is hold down this until we hear sound bank selection.
Sound bank selection. Young Ray. I feel the conflict.
Hold it down when you find one that you like. This is the throne room version of the graphics font that you sent me. Blade lock up.
I know what I have to. Sound bank selection. Young. Focus path temperature critical. Mute.
So with focus path temperature critical, I need to change a setting in your config. I need to bump up your H temp. And that is something that I forgot to do because I haven't had to do that for a long time. So after this demo, I will go in and I'll bump up your H temp. It's just something, if you keep the stock font package, which is also something that I rarely do, I usually have a CFX package that I use. You have to go through and you have to bump up the H temp. I usually bump it up to like a 35 or so. Or I'm sorry, it is a 35. I think I usually bump it up to like a 75.
Sound bank selection. Nebula. Granny.
I passed right by violence, so we'll go back.
Youngling. This is General Audio player. SD card system menu. Exit menu. Get the youngling together and
go! So that's your first one, sabered hand.
Young Ray.
Graph legs. Peace. And this is violence. Your blade lock up, and we'll turn it off just like that. All right, so I actually stopped the demo right there in the middle. If you notice the cutoff, I went through and I changed your H temp so I wouldn't forget it right in the middle of the video. So everything is good to go now. When you want to take the saber back out, very easy to do. So remember, again, loosen your gold greebly, loosen your switch a little bit, come over here, turn your pommel and take it off. Pop it out through the emitter and it'll slide right out. All right. And then you can take your battery out from the positive side. You might need a tool because it fits in here pretty tight, but just pop it out like that and it'll come out for you. But that's basically your Super Stunt OB. Let me know if you have any questions and I will get this out in the mail to you today. Thanks.